I don't know why the previous one ended. I'm like so tired, but I have a meeting, so I have to stay awake. Should I wear this? I'll sit there though, like, okay. Hello. I'm like trying to understand this code, but I'm like so not getting it. Like, whoever used it, your logic is छोड़ भाई मेरे से नहीं होगा.
That is the difference. The reason is, if you use non-static nested class, this non-static nested class instance has a reference called this to the instance of the outer class. That's why you can do this. So there are two major. Major different this kind of nested classes. Why do we use nested classes? Once again, it's because you don't want to expose your implementation details to other people. You don't need to make these kind of classes to be public as a separate class of this kind of outer class, because that's all you do in your class. Nobody needs to use those kind of classes. Also, it increases encapsulation. So speaking of encapsulation, let me write this nested class. So class node. So another thing that I want to do before I talk about encapsulation is that, hey, when you use array list or linked list, things like that in Java, okay, when you use when you create an instance of those, you always specify what kind of types in my array list or linked list, which means the code for this kind of classes should be generic. You should be able to take any kind of types when someone is instantiating and then giving some sort of type parameters. So what I'm trying to say is that we're going to also use generic programming, because so that people can use this kind of linked lists when they want to use any kind of types. Okay, so for that I'm going to say any type. Okay, right? That means this class linked list should be also any type. Okay, so here in this class, let's think about it. If you write this way, this is default. That's not good. Okay. First thing you need to do, if you're not sure, private. Okay, let me illustrate this. If you took my Java course 1768, you know what I'm about to talk about. But let's do it one more time because I want to make sure you remember this. Okay, let's say if you're watching, okay, let's do this. Let's introduce each other to each other, or me and yourself. Okay, let's shake our hands. Even if obviously these days we cannot shake hands, but let's shake hands. So if I shake hands, the first time we shake hands, we met for the first time, we shake our hands. And then we introduce each other, okay? Let's say, I'm Terry, and then you say your name. And after the introduction, the first thing I'm gonna say to you, you can touch me anywhere on my body. Would you ever say that? Probably not, right? My hands are okay, my shoulder is okay, but like the other part, no, okay? You need to declare your vulnerable parts to be private, right? Private. So if you're not sure what to do with that, make sure you write private because you need to make sure you encapsulate, you hide your implementation details. Private, right? And then here, in the singly linked example right there, in the singly linked example right here, right? What do I say? We have data, we have next reference. So in this class, we need to have, once again, even though I don't need to do it, I'm going to write again, private, any type data, right? And then we need to have a reference, private, node, any type, next. Okay, things like that. And then node, constructor, any type, D, node, any type, next, data. All right, so that's the structure, okay? We have two variables, data, the next reference, the constructor, taking any type and node, and then set those, okay? Notice this, look at this. In this nested class right here, okay, do I have any code that tries to access any kind of non-static members of the outer class? Obviously, we don't even have any kind of non-static members over there. Okay, let's write that. Private, node, any type, right? We're starting with the head, right? Head, right? And then public, linked list, right? Even though I don't have to write it, I'm going to make it very clear by saying head is initially null. Okay, so look at this. I have one instance variable and then one constructor. But in my nested class, do I have anything to do with these kind of variable or constructor, whatever? Nothing. Okay? In that situation, as I told you, you got to make sure this is static. Okay? Because I don't need to access. Okay, the question you need to ask when you choose static or not, do I need to access any non-static members of the outer class? If the answer is no, meaning you don't have to access any non-static members of the outer class, make sure your class, nested class, is static. Okay. All right, so that's the one. Okay, so let's now write a bunch of operations. The first thing I'm going to do, public void add first. Okay, so all right, let's pause. A lot of times when you try to find bunch.
Bye.